Hare Krishna. So, first of all, my sincerest gratitude to the organizing team of the Maha Sangas for having given me this opportunity to be with all of you this evening and share a couple of thoughts with all of you on the subject matter of appreciating Srila Prabhupada and giving back and contributing to the mission of Srila Prabhupada. Of course, after that very fired up introduction to the program, it was quite a fired up introduction, wasn't it? After that fired up introduction, I don't know what am I going to say, but nevertheless, the topic I am asked to speak on this evening is appreciating Srila Prabhupada and giving back to Srila Prabhupada. How many of you here are parents? Good. How many have one child? 2? 3? 4? 5? Now everyone's looking in the hall. Who is that person? Whenever I ask such questions, everyone's looking. Who is it? And how many of you know that raising a child is not an easy task? All the parents are raising their hands and as if you were an easy task to your parents. All of us are well aware that raising a child is not at all an easy task. To raise one child is not easy when they're little children. God, what a task. And if you have twins, once the couple had twins, they're like 4-year-olds, and both were in the bathroom bathing. The mother was bathing both the twins. And mother went out to do something and one of the twins is laughing. And the other twin is crying. So guy who came in the bathroom asked this guy who was laughing, and they were identical looking twins. So he said, "You're laughing," and he's crying, "Why are you laughing?" He said, oh, we just couldn't stop laughing. He said, "Mom thought it's me and she bathed him twice." Identical looking twins. So you can imagine, she thought it's me and bathed him twice, so this poor fellow's miserable crying. You have twins, it's hard to raise them. And what to speak if you have 6 children? God. One guy said, I had 6 philosophies how to grow children up. Now I have 6 children and no philosophy left. After you have 6 children, you have left with no philosophy to raise those children. And what if you have 8? A couple got twins, So, daughters. Said, the wife asked, what would you name them? Said, Tara and Sitara. Good names. They conceived again. The second time they got twins again. Now there's 4. So what will you name them now? Said Peter and Repeater. This was boys. Boys, The third time they had children again. Boys again. Said, what will we name them now? Said Max and Climax. The 4th time they got twins again. 8 now. God. Said, what would you name them now? Said Stop and Full Stop. We can't afford to have more than 8. I've always wondered, growing up children is not an easy task when they're little babies, tiny tots, what a challenge. And when they start going to school, got to just get those things in their heads. Not an easy thing. In India, when teacher's asking a student in class, parents have to get their homework done, The teacher's asking the student, so which state of India are you from? And the boy said, Maharashtra. The teacher said, spell it. The boy said, no, I'm from Goa actually. It's better to have Goa, it's 3 alphabets, spell it easy. Oh my goodness. To get children to grow up, it's not easy. And when they grow up to be adults, is it still easy for the parents to look? They get married. Oftentimes they neglect the parents. God. Whether the child's a baby, it's anxiety. Whether they're going to school, it's anxiety. Whether they're teenagers going to college and university, it's anxiety. That they shouldn't come back home drunk, or they shouldn't be on drugs, or they shouldn't make wrong choices. And they grow up to be adults, still anxiety. One old man went to a phone repair shop. And he gave his phone for repair. And the shop owner said, "Sir, your phone is perfectly all right." He said, "If my phone is perfectly all right, why don't my children call me on my phone?" I'm thinking the role of a parent. What a challenging role, isn't it? In every aspect of bringing children up till the time they grow to be adults. Such a challenge. Just in the recent past, I was in Mumbai and I happened to visit a family. And when I visited this family, they had a baby who was about 3 months old. And the mother and the father were telling me, "Prabhuji, what a task to take care of this little baby. 3 months old, just when the mother and the father are about to fall asleep, the child begins kirtan. And just as the kirtan ends, it's time for the parents to wake up, start work. What a challenge." And then the child's throwing up, the moms has to change the child's diapers, falling sick, falling off the bed. Variety of things, and the mother and the father, especially the mother, what an anxiety. So when I visited this couple, they were telling me this, and just in a few months from then, the baby died. The baby, when it was just about 5-6 months old, because of some disease, died. Now, there was peace. No throwing up, no fever, no falling off the bed, no crying, no changing diapers. Pin drop silence at home. Absolute peace. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shantihi. And what to speak of a baby? I saw that mother. She was crying, she was lost, she's finished. Her little baby is dead. And then I saw a couple whose 17-year-old son died. While that teenager is there, he's having a girlfriend and he's running around and he's drinking and he's drugging out and doing all varieties of things. And now the child's gone and there's absolutely peace now. You don't have to worry whether it's coming at 3 in the morning or 5 in the morning. You don't have to worry whether it's high on drugs or high on alcohol. Don't have to worry. Isn't it? And then I saw my own father leave this world when he was 57 years old. Parkinson's disease. I joined the temple. My mother, my grandmother, and my sister were the ones who were taking care of my father. Irresponsible crook as I am. They were taking care of my father. He was bedridden. To pick him up, to put in a rickshaw or a car to take him to the hospital was a challenge. They did it. And when my father departed, there was peace. There was no bedpans. There's no picking up and putting him in a car to take him to the hospital. For a mother or a father, for a parent, is it that peace that they're looking for? How many mothers and fathers can say, "Let our babies die and there'll be peace at home"? How many parents can say that, "Let my teenage guy die and I don't have to worry about the anxiety of his character and his morality and stuff like that"? Let my son who's bedridden die and I don't have to clean the bed sheets and I don't have to have him help with the bedpan. Let him die. Ladies and gentlemen, love is a much stronger, much more powerful motivation than peace. We are not wanting Shanti. We are wanting Kranti. We are not wanting peace. All of us want love. And where there is love, anxiety is welcome. Where there is love, worry is welcome. Where there is love, trouble is welcome. Tell me which mother will be happy with peace. Raise your hand if anyone here thinks that a mother will be happy when the child, whatever age the child is, dies and there's peace at home. How many parents here agree to the fact that no matter how much trouble the mother or the father goes through, but there's love, because of that love we are willing to go through that trouble? What is greater? Shanti or prema? Prema. When we talk about prema, when we talk about love, we talk about seva. Service. There is no meaning to love without service. A guy comes and tells a girl, I love you, I love you, I love you. She says, can you get me that purse? No, but I love you. You nut, get me that purse. I love you. One man was not at home. He had gone out of station. And his wife just called him up to check on him. What is he doing? So she called up and said, hello. The guy said, hello. Said, how are you? Said, how are you? You're repeating my words? He said, you're repeating my words? Did you eat your food, darling? He said, did you eat your food, darling? The lady immediately realized, good chance. She said, I love you. He said, I ate my food already. I've already eaten my food. What's the meaning to the word love without service? Love means service. And service means anxiety. Service means trouble. Service means hard work. Service means difficulty. If you want to be peaceful, finish it off and be peaceful. No trouble, no anxiety, no changing diapers, no doing nothing, no, none of these anxieties, none of these difficulties, none of these troubles, none of these worries. But that's not life. Life is love. In the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, Patanjali Muni describes the two greatest needs of the soul. The two greatest needs that we have. To love and to be loved. We need someone to express our love to, and we need to be the object of someone's love. And thus, love, prema, is such a powerful motivating factor that we are willing to then take a lot of anxiety. How many parents think that they take anxiety for their family? They say married life is like a workshop, you know. The husband works, the wife shops. It's a workshop. Sometimes it's the other way. The wife works, the husband shops. And sometimes both work and the children shop. We all struggle to make sure that our family has what they need. And is it easy? How many of you think working a 9 to 6 job is easy? How many of you feel being shouted by a boss is easy? No, but we are willing to take it all. Why? Mera pyara shonu. For my little boy, isn't it? And therefore, we are talking about prema, love, not shanti. And that's bhakti. We come to the path of bhakti not for shanti. We come to the path of bhakti for prema. To love God. To love Krishna. The whole world is coming to Krishna, coming to God to ask for things. Give me this, give me that. And if you're a good Jew, you can really ask well. One Gujarati fellow, there was a Gujarati, and this Gujarati man, he had a blind mother, no child, no car, and no house. So he came to God. Please, my dear Lord, please bless me. My mother doesn't have vision. I don't have a child. I don't have a car. And I don't have a home. Please bless me. God came and said, look, only one wish. Ask whatever you like. But he's a Gujarati. So he said, my dear Lord, I want to have my blind mother see my wife hold a baby boy sitting in a Bentley car parked outside my Beverly Hill home. And God said, I have a lot to learn from good Jews, you know. Nothing against the community or anything, just to make it lighter. By God. And that's what a lot of people come to God for. And if they're not asking for stuff, they're definitely asking for peace. Raise your hands if you want your problem solved. Raise your hand. Arey, raise your hand, Baba. Maybe it'll come true. You're raising in the temple. Raise your hand if you don't want to be shouted at by your wife. Raise your hand if you want your wives to cook what you want. We want our problems to be solved, our health crises, our office problems. We want peace. Shanti. Love, prema, is much higher than Shanti. And the experience of love is much higher than Shanti. If you're peaceful in a room, how long can you remain there? How long will you sit alone in a room saying, floating? Oh. How long? After a while, I need someone to connect to make a relationship, to love. You know? And therefore, bhakti is the science of love. Loving Krishna. Loving Krishna's devotees. Loving our Acharya Srila Prabhupada. And when it comes to love, love means to share. Love means to give. Love means to serve. And when we serve and when we give, there is always anxiety. There's trouble. There is pain. But the trouble and that pain brings such fulfillment, because it's for someone whom we love. That peace goes in the background. That mother cleaning off the vomit of the child feels great pleasure than seeing the dead body of the child and having peace through that. Thus, it is imperative to understand that we have joined the Hare Krishna movement to love, not to be peaceful. And peace we should have every now and then, no doubt. I am needing it most. I need peace the most sometimes, you know. And when we talk about love, we talk about giving back. Srila Prabhupada, he came to give because he loved Krishna. He loved Krishna so much, he gave to Krishna. He didn't consider peace. He was traveling, struggling, 70-year-old man with so many health issues. Traveling all over the place, serving, giving, contributing. And not only did he love Krishna, he loved every soul. And therefore he was giving to everyone. Because love means to give. And trouble taken? Doesn't matter. Sleep? Oh, you only sleep 3 hours, Swamiji? Doesn't matter. Because I love all these souls. And I must do something for them. Srila Prabhupada, what a personality. The emblem of giving. The emblem of serving. The emblem of sharing. The emblem of caring. And therefore the emblem of love. Loving Krishna and loving everyone. One time one disciple of Srila Prabhupada asked him, Prabhupada, sometimes I feel compassionate towards people, you know. Prabhupada said, why sometimes? You should feel compassionate all the time. And thus, we have received Srila Prabhupada's love. And now it's time that we also give back. Because when we love someone, we must give. And giving is not always easy. So what did Srila Prabhupada give us? He gave us 4 P's. And how do we give back? We'll understand through these 4 P's. The first P that Srila Prabhupada gave all of us was a philosophy. Clarity in philosophy. Srila Prabhupada's philosophy is incredible. He spent sleepless nights writing books so that we have the right understanding of life. We have clarity in understanding of life and the philosophy of life. Of course, nowadays the only favorite book that people have is a checkbook. Spiritual books are practically out. They love to read checkbook. Checkbooks are very good to look at. Prabhupada wrote so many books. And in these books, Srila Prabhupada first gave us clarity on self-realization. You know? Nowadays, of course, it's the age of selfie realization. Everyone's selfie and posted straight up, you know. I always say that no one is as beautiful as their Facebook profile and as ugly as their driving license picture. Facebook profiles are too good to look at, and driving license, who is this criminal? Wanted, you know, wanted by the police sometimes, that's what it looks like. And therefore, selfie realization to self-realization, Srila Prabhupada very clearly pointed out to us. You come to ISKCON and the first clarity we get from his books is, I am not the body. I am the soul. Srila Prabhupada was in New York sitting there and saying, so, I am not this body. And all the new people sitting there were thinking, oh, Swamiji is not his body. Swamiji is not his body. Prabhupada brought clarity. Clarity. So that we don't just look at the mirror and think, hey, wow, amazing. Brands, Elvis Presley glasses, man. Tag Heuer watches, man. He realized we are so absorbed in selfies, not just in terms of pictures but in the body, that we wouldn't have time for the self. And therefore, clarity was brought in terms of self-realization. Beyond self-realization, Prabhupada brought clarity in saying you're the self, but beyond self-realization is God realization. You are a soul, not the body, but you are a part of God. There is a God. And God is a person. He's not some light. He's not sometimes people come and I ask people, who's God? They say God is light. I say tube light, sunlight, moonlight, halogen light, floodlight. Which light? What is God? God is something. God is nothing. God is anything. God is everything. I said, give me a break, man. What are you saying? Something, anything, everything, nothing. Sometimes I ask God, what is God? They say, God is love. Love. I said, which love? Love between the guy and the girl? Love between the mom and the son? Which love? So much ambiguity, so much confusion, so much junk in the head. And Srila Prabhupada, through his books, self-realization, I am not the body, I am the soul. God realization, there is a God, and that God is a person. He listens to you. How many of you pray? What's the point of praying if he doesn't hear? What's the point? God's a person listening to our problems. And therefore they say, don't tell God how big your problems are. Tell your problems how big God is. What are we telling God how big our problems are? Let's start telling our problems how big our God is. Prabhupada was here at Bhaktivedanta Manor, sitting and giving a talk. And one man stood up. Right here. Prabhupada was like there, Vyasasana, and he used to lecture from there. One man stood up right in the middle of the darshan and said, Swamiji, have you seen God? Prabhupada said, you are standing in between me, you sit and God. Sit down, I will see him. Said, you're standing in between me and God, you better sit down, I'll not be able to see him. Very candid and clear. God is a person. The third aspect of clarity, God is a person. He's not just a person. That person is Krishna. That person is Krishna. And therefore Prabhupada named the society the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, not International Society for God Consciousness. It's ISKCON. If you would have named International Society for God Consciousness, it would be is gone. And the essence of all philosophy would be gone. Very clear. Krishna. I am not the body, soul, self-realization. There is a God and He is a person, God realization. That God is Krishna, ISKCON. And who am I in relation to Krishna? A servant of Krishna. That's the word that we hate to hear. Imagine you go to someone and they tell you, what do you do, sir? Say, I'm a servant in a big man's house. What an introduction that would be. In England, of course, you can't afford a servant. In India, there is a Bartan Wali who cleans your pots. There is a Kapda Wali who cleans your clothes. There is a Jhadu Wali who does your jhadu. And there is a massage Wali who massages you. For every little thing there's a servant. You sneeze, someone's there to clean your nose. What a horrible introduction is that? What are you? Servant. Sometimes when we tell people, sometimes when I go for these corporate talks, I do a lot of corporate talks, in India. So earlier, when I just started, I didn't know how to introduce myself. So someone asked, so what do you do? I said, I'm a servant. I said, why do you have such an inferiority complex? Prabhupada taught us we are servants of Krishna. When he initiated a devotee, British devotee, he said, and so, your new name will be Kishore Das. And he said, and do you know the meaning of the name Kishore? And he said, no, Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, Kishore means the adolescent enjoyer of Vrindavan. That adolescent boy who enjoys with the gopis of Vrindavan. And he had a smile. What a name he got. And then Prabhupada turned to him and said, but you are Das, not Kishore. He is Kishore, you are Das. He enjoys and I am simply meant to serve. So clear. And then Prabhupada brought things into perspective by saying, self-realization, I am not the body, I am the soul. God realization, there's a God and He is a person. ISKCON, that God is Krishna. Who am I in relation to that Krishna? A servant of Krishna, and I am in this body trapped in this world. Prabhupada was on a morning walk and we saw this park, and on the board said Children's Fairyland. And Prabhupada looked at it and said, oh, Children's Fairyland. Then he looked around everywhere, big skyscraper buildings, and he said, Adults Fairyland. The material world. My God. Material world, when we are children, the guys want cars and the girls are after dolls. And when they grow up, the guys are after dolls and the girls are after cars. Sorry, just a joke, just on the lighter side. We're also caught up with this world thinking this is it. How many of you ladies played with dolls in their childhood? How many of you brought your doll for the Maha Sanga today? Prabhuji, please bless my doll. How many guys played with planes? And how many brought your plane? No one. To you at that time it mattered so much, and today it doesn't even bother you. In your school, your results and progress reports mattered so much, today it doesn't even bother you. In your university, your grades and jobs mattered so much, and today it doesn't even bother you. And your crush mattered you so much in college and university, and today the only crush left is Candy Crush. Today it doesn't even bother you. And you get married and your wife and husband bothers you so much, and today it doesn't even bother you because you're hardly at home. We take this world so significantly, and every phase goes by. Therefore Prabhupada said, we are here in this material world and we are meant to go back to Krishna, to the spiritual world. Ladies and gentlemen, that personality, Srila Prabhupada, spent sleepless nights, despite jet lags, health crises, and such pressure of running an international society. That personality, wherever in the world he was, he pulled out his desk And from 10 p.m., 11 p.m. till 4 a.m. in the morning, he was translating books for you and me. Srila Prabhupada gave us these books. The first fee, philosophy. And gratitude means to give back. Service means to give back. And how do we give back? By trying to read these books. By trying to give these books to others. As devotees of the Hare Krishna movement, we are meant to read Srila Prabhupada's books. Because he strived and yearned and struggled and worked hard to translate these books for us. Sleepless nights. Sometimes they are hard to read. We don't understand much. Doesn't matter. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever in a day we can manage. 15 minutes, one verse of the Gita, one translation, one purport. But let's read every day. That will be our love to Prabhupada. Not just saying Jai Prabhupada, but we'll give back. Yes, Prabhupada, I'm reading your books. We don't understand it always. One lady in our Chopati temple, elderly lady, 65 years old. And this lady, she was writing a Bhakti Shastri exam. God, 4 books. Bhagavad Gita, Ishopanishad, Nectar of Instruction and Nectar of Devotion. And she's 65 years old. And she's not written an exam in 40 years. And when the question paper came, there were 75 questions and she wrote 100 answers. I never found a student who wrote 100 answers for 75 questions. And you know what she wrote? Every answer was the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And that answer sheet came. So what should we do with this lady? I said, pass her. She's 65. It's okay. She's understood the essence of all books. Chanting Hare Krishna. Clear the top and gave a passing grades. Therefore, let's read these books and give these books. One of our brahmacharis was in Punjab. I know how Punjabi guys can be. Punjabi people, they're quite amazing people, Punjabis. So he was in Punjab and there was a wedding. And in Punjabi weddings, the guy is on the horse, ghoda. And while he's on the horse, they have this big kind of a screen of flowers. It's called a sehra. Big screen of flowers on the face. So one of our brahmacharis spotted out this guy is on the horse entering the wedding arena. And brahmacharis were out for the book distribution marathon. And thought, what a candidate to give a book. So the brahmachari is going to him with a Gita. And this guy say, hello, brahmachari. So he's, who's calling me? He said, hello, Prabhuji. He said, Prabhuji, who's Prabhuji? So finally this guy with great effort, he pulled that flower thing up to see who it is. And he saw this bald species, who's like an alien identity who's landed from a UFO. And then he said, yes. He said, sir, I think you should read the Gita. Then he looked, he said, Gita? No, see the picture only, Kurukshetra fighting. From first day of marriage, if I take this, fighting will be there at home, So I can't read this book. Then the brahmachari used his presence of mind. He said, oh, you don't know, no problem, don't worry. He pulled the Krishna books. He said, see how they love each other? So Radha Krishna, you will also love each other a lot. And he liked the idea so much, he bought a Krishna book on the way to enter the wedding arena. I know that you will not do revolutionary things like this, but we can always read these books and give these books to others, and that's giving back. The second thing that Srila Prabhupada gave, the second P, first is the philosophy and his books. The second P that Srila Prabhupada gave us is a process to follow. Philosophy is just knowledge. Process is action. We have to do something. Yes, Krishna is God. Yes, I am his servant. But what do I do with all of that? Therefore, Prabhupada gave us a process to follow. And what was the process he gave? He understood. We cannot realize Krishna with our senses. Ataha Shri Krishna Namadi na bhaved grahyam indriyai. The name, the form, the qualities and the pastimes of Lord Shri Krishna cannot be realized by our senses. But sevon mukhehi jivhadau. If we serve with our tongue, beginning with our tongue, slowly we will realize Krishna through the process of service. Prabhupada gave us a process. The process of seva. Prabhupada translated the word bhakti as devotional Service. All over the world, people translate that word as devotion, love, feeling. But Prabhupada chose deliberately to translate that word bhakti as devotional service, because without a process, what good is knowledge? What good is the philosophy in the books unless there's a process to realize that philosophy? And thus Srila Prabhupada gave us a process to serve. Service. Service is the life of a devotee. Service is the treasure of a devotee. Service is the asset of a devotee. And if a devotee doesn't have some service to offer, what kind of a devotee is that? Because the very word devotee comes from bhakti, which is devotional service. There has to be seva. Otherwise we are all interested in meva. There has to be seva. And Srila Prabhupada taught us that service begins with the tongue. And the first thing to do to serve is to chant the holy name. The tongue can vibrate the holy name. And if the tongue doesn't vibrate the holy name, the tongue will vibrate gossip. If the tongue doesn't vibrate the holy name and the glories of Krishna, the tongue will criticize others. If the tongue is not engaged in service to our beloved Lord, the tongue is going to slander others. Because the tongue needs engagement. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada gave us such an incredible process. Let's chant. Chant the holy names. Chant the glories of the Lord. So that we don't have time for all of this business of gossiping and criticizing. One time 2 ladies were discussing with each other. And they were slandering another third lady. And it's not just ladies, men do the same. But my example is of ladies. It's the same. Don't think, ladies, don't get me wrong. It's all the men are nothing good. Don't worry. Everyone's the same. It's not men, ladies, young, old. It's the conditioned soul in a material body. Whichever body it is in. So these 2 ladies are slandering a third lady for 1 hour. They criticized her. And after 1 hour, one lady turned to the other and said, "Abhe java de ne apde su?" Now let go what we have. So why did you criticize? The tongue needs positive engagement to chant Hare Krishna. And how merciful was Srila Prabhupada that he gave us this. When Prabhupada initiated His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj, he gave him the name. So your new name will be Giriraj Das. And as he gave the beads in his hands, he said, "So Giriraj, this is your link to Krishna. Here is your link to Krishna." Chanting of the holy names. And in many initiation lectures, Srila Prabhupada said, chanting is our ticket back home, back to Godhead. Whenever we want to fly somewhere, we are so concerned about booking our tickets, and when the final journey, when we have to fly for the final destination, what's our ticket? And therefore Srila Prabhupada gave us a process. And people would come and ask so many questions about chanting. One guy came and said, "Swamiji, when I chant Hare Krishna, I see a light in my head. What shall I do?" Prabhupada said, "Keep chanting, the light will go off." So clear and candid, my God. One time a guy came up to Prabhupada and said, "But why should I chant Hare Krishna? After all, you're just counting, aren't you? I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Why should I chant Hare Krishna?" Prabhupada said, "Look, you continue counting. And when you are tired, then you try chanting." When you're tired of counting, then you try chanting. How merciful Srila Prabhupada. He gave us a process of purification for our tongue, chanting. And what an amazing process. Apart from chanting, Prabhupada gave us the process of eating. Sanctified food. Is there any path that can be easier than that? If you don't want to chant, don't chant. Eat. Eat. Is it too hard to eat? And he was announcing cake and custard or something like that. He knew that in my lecture people will walk off. So I have to keep them by announcing cake and custard. Oh God. Eating is hard? How many of you think eating is hard? How many of you have trouble in eating? Raise your hands. Why are you so troubled? He's raising his hand, I have trouble in eating. He said. You may have trouble with digestion. That's another thing. But trouble with tongue, anyone has? How many of you like the Mangalarti sweets of Mother Kulangada? How many of you like those Gokul sweets, those big chunks of carob bars in the big gift shop, bakery? Oh. Srila Prabhupada once said, let the Gyanis read their books and let the yogis meditate. We, the devotees of Krishna, will eat our way back to Godhead. What a simple way. He gave us a process to chant, to eat, and be happy. Why are we a miserable species in ISKCON? Why? Why do we have to be so miserable? If we are miserable, there's only one thing. The mind is making us miserable. Prabhupada gave us a process to be blissful. This process is susukham kartum avyayam, the Gita explains. Blissfully executed. And if there's something that's stopping us from experiencing that bliss, it's a crazy mind. Crazy, uncontrolled mind. Prasadam. Oh God, I'll tell you. What a weak point. You can't discipline devotees in prasad. You can't discipline them in prasad. We try to arrange queues and all that. Who cares? Who cares for those queues? My God. And when it comes to Mahaprasad, people will die for it. Potent mercy of Krishna. In one program, one devotee was giving a talk, and the subject of the talk was in America. Some American people were sitting and hearing, and the subject of the talk was how by connection to Krishna, matter is changed into spirit. That was the subject of the talk. When you connect to Krishna, matter is transformed into spirit. Now, this American guy was challenging at the end of 2 hours talk. And he was challenging. Come on, you're talking about matter changing into spirit by connecting to your God Krishna. And is there a practical demonstration for this? Because at the same time, the devotee was carrying a tray of bhoga covered with a cloth for offering on the altar. So he said, this is the demonstration. That matter changes into spirit by connection to God. He said, what do you mean? He said, wait, I'll tell you what it means. So then it was offered. And then the pujari was bringing the plate out, again covered. He said, now it's going. Where is the transformation of spirit into matter? I mean, matter into spirit. This devotee just pulled the cover off. And there's like 15 items of Rajbhog, delicious sweets and everything. He said, so, what do you think? You have any questions? He said, no. I fully believe that matter is transformed into spirit. Prabhupada, amazing, gave us the opportunity to serve. Service begins with the tongue, he said. Sevon mukhehi jivhadau. Through the chanting of the holy names, to tasting Krishna prasadam, through offering service to their lordships, the deities, he gave us deities, beautiful deities, to cook for them, to bathe them, to make garlands for them, to preach for them, to go to the kitchen and chop vegetables for them, to broom the temple for them. He gave us a practical process. We are not just some people sitting there saying, oh, nothing. Prabhupada once said this. He said, so Krishna was speaking the Gita to Arjuna on the battlefield, and after the Gita was over, Arjuna was not sitting there on the chariot smoking ganja. Prabhupada said this in a lecture. Arjuna was not sitting there on the chariot smoking ganja. He said Arjuna was engaged in practical action because he loved Krishna, he served Krishna by fighting. And ladies and gentlemen, all of you as householders have your responsibilities towards your families, towards your professions, towards your children. We all have responsibilities, and particularly in household life, with so many responsibilities on the head, we're always thinking, how do I serve? To manage chanting my rounds, to manage earning those bucks, to take care of the responsibilities of children and wife and parents, and then to serve. But imagine Srila Prabhupada, tirelessly preaching all over the globe, sick, 2 heart attacks on the Jaladuta. He should have also thought, no, I have so much to do, I have a wife, I have 10 children, I shouldn't go. Why should I go? I'm 70 years old, I've already got 2 heart attacks, there's no one to receive me in the US. Why should I take all of that trouble? He should have said the same. He took the trouble. And we should take the trouble. Is it peace or love? Shanti or prema? And if there is prema, is it peaceful or troublesome? Where there is a will, there is a way. And there is a way. I know it can't be the way someone living in the temple does, but we can do our bit. Like that squirrel pushing that grain of sand into the ocean to help Lord Ram build that bridge so the monkeys could cross across the ocean to rescue Mother Sita. We all can push a grain of sand. It could mean just come and chopping vegetables in the kitchen. It could just mean coming and stringing a few flowers to make a garland. It could just mean giving some donation to the temple. Whatever we could do, our bit is giving back. So the second contribution of Srila Prabhupada is, he gave us a process of service. Through chanting, through taking prasadam, through doing practical action. And not just sitting there and philosophizing and fingering our beads. But practical action to serve. And how do we give back? We should take whatever service we have with utmost seriousness. If our service is to give lectures, we should take that service with utmost seriousness. If we are asked to do the service of leading a kirtan, we should take that service with utmost seriousness. If we are asked to cook for the deities, we should take that service with utmost seriousness. Krishna is kind. Prabhupada is kind. We are blessed. Blessed are we that we have an opportunity to do something. Otherwise, we would just be earning the bucks and just living a regular life like everyone else does. Thanks to His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, that He came to our lives to bring that change and add value to our lives. How blessed are we that we have that little tiny bit to do. And if we don't, we should grab it. We should yearn for it. We should look for it. A service to do. The third P that Srila Prabhupada gave is people. Devotees. The first is philosophy, his books. The second is a process of service. And the third is people. What's a temple without people? 4 walls and 2 statues? What is a temple without people? Srila Prabhupada, revolutionary. In the United States, he turned a mortuary into a temple. In San Francisco at Frederick Street, they got a mortuary. They got a mortuary to make a temple. There used to be the place where they keep the body before everyone comes, for the funeral, and they pay their homage to the dead body. And they have, what is it called? I don't know what they call here in England. In India, they call them undertakers, where they take the body and they take all the blood out and they decorate the body, pull a grin on the body, because even a dead body should look good, really. All that is done. That's the job of an undertaker. And there was a place in that mortuary where the body would be taken and the blood would be drained out of the body. And then the body would be kept sewn up and all of the steps at a certain spot. The place where the blood was drained out was turned into a kitchen for cooking for the deities. The place where the dead body would be kept became the altar for the deities. The place where people would come and wait as the waiting place to offer their homage to the dead body became the temple hall. Prabhupada made that mortuary into a temple by bringing life where there is death. Thank God Prabhupada brought life in our dead lives. We were just moving around aimlessly without any purpose. Thank God, thanks to His Divine Grace for having brought life into our lives. Otherwise our lives were lifeless, And then he told the devotees, so now you go and get cow dung, to purify the place, because cow dung will purify it. So they went around to different barns in the United States looking for cow dung with crates. And they would go to these people and say, sir, we want some cow dung. Say, cow dung? What do you want cow dung for? So we want to clean the place. Clean the place with crap? That would be the response of most people. And then they said, no problem, take as much. for free, and then the devotees bought big crates of cow dung and cleaned the whole place up, and the temple started. Prabhupada turned a laundromat into a temple. But people wash clothes. And that turned into a temple, and now rather than cleansing of clothes, cleansing of consciousness started there. Prabhupada turned a farmhouse ridden with ghosts into a temple. And Prabhupada said, just chant Hare Krishna, bang mridangas, play conch shells, and the ghosts will run away. And Bhaktivedanta Manor had many ghosts. Prabhupada saw 2 of them walking out of the lake behind and walk. Go for a walk today, you will see some of them. But they don't come out now because they're scared of these ghosts. They said, there's too many ghosts here now, we don't come out of this place. Oh God, my God. Prabhupada turned a farm with ghosts there into a temple, signifying that he wanted to drive away the ghost of illusion that overcomes our mind. All these ghosts here and there may throttle and, choke us. But the ghost of Maya, God, that's why he opened these temples. Prabhupada turned a bowling alley in Montreal into a temple. The people were, this bowling alley with all these, what do they call them, pegs, and you bowl them off, turned it into a temple. And here at 7 Bari Place, Prabhupada made a temple which was so transcendental. And from transcendental now it's a dental clinic. Because Krishna's gone, the transcendental atmosphere is gone. All that is left is dental. Trance is gone. Here in central London, Prabhupada created temples, beautiful temples. And the Oxford Dictionary meaning of the word church is not a building. The dictionary meaning of the word church is a place where people congregate. A temple is not buildings. We have many in India. Beautiful, ornate, and not a single dog enters there. What to speak of anyone else? Completely abandoned places, absolutely ornate, such beautiful deities of the Lord, and no one goes in there. How beautiful Srila Prabhupada gave us these temples, because he gave us people. And what do people do to us? They support us. Philosophy convinces us. The process transforms us. People, the devotees, support us. And how do we give back to Prabhupada? Because he gave us such amazing people, devotees, who are trying to selflessly help us by cooperating. We should give back to Prabhupada by reading his books. That's how we'll pay back for the philosophy. We should give back to Prabhupada by taking our service very seriously. That's how we'll give back for the process that he gives us. We should cooperate with each other to serve. That's how we'll give back for the people and the temples that he gave us. And last but not the least, Srila Prabhupada gave us an opportunity to preach. That's the 4th P. Yes, there is the philosophy and the books. Yes, there is the process of chanting and seva. Yes, there are the people and the devotees whom we should associate with. But unless we truly start sharing what we get with others, tirelessly Srila Prabhupada preached. One devotee said, Prabhupada, I would like to be situated as a dust particle at your lotus feet. Prabhupada said, that is impossible, because my lotus feet are constantly moving. He was traveling all over the place, preaching tirelessly, sharing Krishna consciousness with others. And thus, as the followers of Srila Prabhupada, and having received so much from his divine grace, we have to give back by preaching a little something. Lord Krishna is the production unit. That's our product, bhakti. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the marketing unit. He came to distribute. Srila Prabhupada is a sales manager. And all of us, salesmen and women. Let's try and be Prabhupada's salesmen and women by distributing this incredible product of loving devotional service. We have experienced how wonderful it is. And let that beautiful process come to the lives of unfortunate people in this world. So many have so much, yet they have a lacuna inside their hearts, a vacuum. Let's assist Srila Prabhupada in filling that vacuum by trying to give Krishna consciousness to others. And therefore, preaching means to try and do book distribution, giving talks, arranging a Sangha program, inviting your friends, trying to invite your work colleagues to a program. All that is preaching undoubtedly. But you know what is the best preaching? A happy devotee. And thus St. Francis of Assisi said, I preach 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and sometimes I speak. And therefore, just being happy and satisfied in Krishna consciousness does more preaching than most lectures that we may give. And therefore, as families, if we are happy, if we bring more and more people to Krishna consciousness, we give back to Srila Prabhupada. And therefore, to conclude, we have discussed 5 points this evening. The first is, we are for prema or shanti? And prema gives you peace? No. Trouble, anxiety, pain, and we have to take it. Right? And Prabhupada took so much pain to give us what? The 4 P's. First P? Philosophy. And what does philosophy do to us? It convinces us. How do we give back? Read the books, share the books. The second P that Prabhupada gave us was? A process. And what does process do to us? Transforms us. You know? And what do we do to give back? Take our service with utmost seriousness. The third P that Prabhupada gave to us? People, a temple, a community. And how do we give back? By cooperating with each other to serve. And the fourth thing that Prabhupada gave us is preaching. Preaching inspires us. And what do? Let us help and assist Srila Prabhupada and his followers in sharing this. And in this way, truly we can appreciate His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, and give back to the mission of Srila Prabhupada for all the contributions he gave. We know it's hard for family people. Our tiny bit, as a squirrel, let us put that little sand. And so many people, when they put that little sand, it'll slowly turn into a big bridge. I wish to thank all of you very much for being here this evening for this Maha Sanga. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Samavet Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
His Grace Gaur Gopal Prabhu ki